Hi, Fashion Dolls. It is Fierce Female Friday, May 10th, and welcome to an all new episode of Style by Stevie. As you guys can see, we have been going through the ringer. IG is doing some things. They are not letting me add Eugene, so I'm going to send him this live, Fashion Dolls, and we are going to continue to try to do this interview. Hopefully, it works. So let me try to add Eugene this time. All right, I see the request. Let's go back. There we are.
Hello.
Hello. Finally. Please forgive me. And IG has acted up.
You know what I did? I posted a video about Hunter Biden on my main page, and they restricted everything for something he was doing.
Yeah?
So I'm glad I have two other pages.
And now you're back with us. And I'm glad to have you here. Finally. Happy Friday. Happy 2024.
Mm.
Before we get into this interview,
Yeah.
how has 2024 been for you so far?
Can we curse on this? It has been kicking my black ass, but I'm resilient. I'm here. It has been a rough year from the end of last year till right about now. It's been rough, but you know what? I'm persevering. It's all worth it. How about you?
It's been a roller coaster ride. As I talked about the previous week before, my grandmother just got out of the hospital. She's 81 years old. Tumor on the heart and things. She had to get an operation, and by the grace of God, she is still here. She is alive. She is walking, and I get to talk with her every day because you guys know that the most important women in my life are my mom and my grandmother.
Right.
And y'all know I'm a fashion girl. And there is not enough diamonds in the world that can replace these two amazing women, my mom and my grandmother. They mean a lot to me. So it's good that she is still here, that she's breathing, and I can call her on the phone and talk to her. And Mother's Day is Sunday, so I have something very, very special to give her and my mom. So I can't wait. Hopefully I get to see her.
Right. So that resonates. My mom had gotten diagnosed with breast cancer in November. She went through chemotherapy from December till about February, and she is now cancer-free. So I get it. We serve an amazing God. And this Mother's Day is going to be something to remember. So I'm here with you.
Yes, we're in sync. So let's get into
Yeah.
it. Now, I fell in love with you on a certain hit show that I absolutely adore, and it is Finding Me, and in the Finding Me series. Now, your character, you play the character of Greg. But before we get into the series, tell us about Eugene, because you are not only an actor and an artist, but you are also like a plant enthusiast or landscaper.
Right.
And I follow you here on the gram, and I'm just fascinated because I love flowers. And flowers go in fashion. And I'm pretty sure you've seen the Met Gala's theme this season, which was Garden of Time, Sleeping Beauty's Reawakening Fashion, and the whole floral aesthetic. So before we get into that, Finding Me, tell us about Eugene and what made Eugene do acting.
All right, well, I'm going to do a shameless plug. You guys hit me up on Gene Loves Plants here on Instagram, and Gene Loves Plants #1 on YouTube, and Gene Creates on Instagram. So I went to school for illustration, for fashion and fashion illustration. I went to FIT back in the day in 1992. I started in illustration and then transferred over to the fashion department, but always illustration. Plants was for me. I realized that. So I got my a year ago, and enthusiast.
I didn't know you pursued fashion illustration. It's amazing to know that you have a background in fashion as well too, because I've watched the behind the scenes of Finding Me, the first one, and we got to see how Roger works. What I love about what Roger did was he gave an opportunity to black stylists that are in the New Jersey area getting into the fashion world. And there's a young lady on there, and she styled each and every one of you. Misty is her name, Misty. And she's also was one of the main characters on the show. She played Tammy. So she actually works in fashion. She's worked alongside June Ambrose, and June Ambrose has worked with everyone from one of my favorite female singers, Mary J. Blige. She's worked with so many people, but Misty has a background in fashion. So the two of you, and you two had a scene in the film, and it was pretty funny watching the bloopers.
Right.
We'll get to that later. And hi, Kenyon. Kenyon is actually going to be on the show Monday. So it was pretty good to see you and Kenyon's character, Morris, reunite on Talks with Myself. I'm like, there's Greg, but Fabian and Lonnie are in London. So it's completely different. You don't get to see them on this show, which is sort of like a spinoff. Yeah.
You really do follow it. Yeah, so Roger allowed me to come back in two capacities. For that little walk-on scene with Kenyon. I loved working with Kenyon. Such an intense and talented actor in his own right. But I also have done some artistic direction on the series. And I really love the new cast. They're just an amazing group of men. And good to look at, so they look great in clothes. And Tammy, Misty, is one of my really, really, really good friends. I love that woman.
And she had the other character, her cousin, Laura. She had her own sense of style as well too, and she put every single detail. Like she took pictures of it in the first film,
right.
And I watched the behind the scenes, the photo shoots, everything of her creative direction. And what I love is that Roger gave an opportunity to everybody black that is in the New Jersey area. And I told him, your show was out during a time when Noah's Ark was just stepping on the scene with Patrick D. and Polk. Right. It was based off of a short that he created, which was in 2003. And in 2006, 2008 would have been also the time that Finding Me, the first film, came out.
Mm-hmm.
So you both were on at the time. And what I love about it is the subject matter. You guys were ahead of your time when it pertains to being in the queer community.
Right.
Touching on mental health. I was kind of mad at your character, Eugene, for a minute. You did Jay so wrong. Yes, I followed the show. You did Jay so wrong, and I thought you two would have lasted. But
well, Greg, you know, I think a lot of times, and it mirrors life, we put our own expectations on our partners instead of really hearing who they tell us they are. And I think there'd be a lot of less heartbreak if we listened to our partners. And Greg was just a free bird.
And I loved it because I told Roger this also. It's a little like Living Single meets Noah's Ark, because the dynamic with you guys are having the hangout spot, meeting in the cafe, and then the fashions, and then you have every character from Fabian to Amira to Greg. They had their own correct opinion. Greg was definitely a mess, and Amira said that. What tickled me was the argument in the kitchen in the first film with Amira and Greg. It was sort of like, if you watch Martin, you see the exchange between Martin and Pam, and that's what it gave very much. They're your friends, but they have a love-hate relationship. Right. And then Fabian is stuck in the middle. He's having to be like the peacemaker and intervene and try to break it up. And then you had Maurice. God bless his soul.
Yeah,
Jay.
God bless. Yeah, his
everybody
character
has their personality.
Messy. Jay was a mess. Don't you think?
And yes, and Fabian tried to warn you. Fabian and Jay had exchanged words behind the scenes, and Fabian tried to warn you. And I'm just like, oh my God, I hate to see them fight. But then all of you guys are fighting. Amira, everybody.
Initially, I thought you were talking about Eric Joppy's character. I forgot Maurice's character's name was Jay. Jay was a mess. He deserved what he in the movie. And he was my best friend too, God rest his soul. In real life, he was my best friend.
And he's no longer here with us. Yeah. And the camaraderie that you guys had, even though, everybody had their issues, Fabian and Jay had their issues, and the scene with Fabian and Jay in the kitchen also took me out as well too. Jay said something to Fabian, and he said something about tricks. It tickled me. And then Amira says something about Greg being bisexual. So I mean, the exchange, it was just like, and then the dinner scene.
Yeah.
If you watch shows and you've seen the dinner scene, that's what it made me think about. And it's like everybody's spilling their dirty laundry at the table. And what I love is that Tammy got pregnant by Greg, and they still had a relationship. Because where most women, you know, they're just like, I don't want to deal with men who's bi. And with me being trans, I mean, I accept a man for who he is. I don't. If he wants to date whoever he wants to date, that is that.
Right.
But Roger was ahead of his time with touching on all of these different subject matters.
Yeah. I mean, he always is a little bit ahead of the curve when it comes to like that.
Now, the spinoff, Talks with Myself, is based on Morris, who used to date Fabian.
Right.
And Kenya's character, because Kenya's coming on the show Monday, he's here. It's completely different to see him in a complete different light, where he's more vulnerable. Whereas he's playing Jabril Davenport, he's evil, he's conniving. If you watch Triangle, you know, we'll get into that Monday. But to see him in this character, Morris, more vulnerable, because Morris was married, and then Fabian found out, and I think the second season of the series. So that's when he found out that Morris was married, and he went to the car and he was like, he checked his phone. His phone went off. And then, yeah, Morris had his issues too. But what I loved is that him and his wife still have a good relationship. Greg and Tammy still have a good relationship. And you got into it with Tammy's friend. I think she came over to visit in the series. That was a funny scene too. So Greg is trying to date. Everybody is trying to date and get back on their feet and find out what works for them in relationships and love. And then you have Bryant, who is the rapper. He plays his character. You get introduced to him in Finding Me Truth. And I'm just like, he's dating Jay, but the car scene, I'm just like, oh no, oh man.
Damn.
And then he busted him over the head with the bottle in the club scene. So I said, yeah. When Jay and Fabian were hanging out in the club, I said, yeah, he's going to get him.
Right. No, there was a lot going on. And it was so long. I'm like pulling from my memory. That show was at least 15 years of the first film. How long ago was it?
Oh my goodness, let's go back and check. I want to say 2012. This one was in 2012. This one was in 2009. Okay. And this one was in 2010. So, yeah, that long ago. What do you remember most about being on set? Because I've been interviewing some of the men on Talks with Myself. I just recently did an interview with Derek. I did Derek not too long ago. And we were talking about behind the scenes. What is one of your favorite memories of behind the scenes, being on set? Because when you guys are in character, you guys are in character. But watching the bloopers and seeing you guys cut up and have fun is what I love also too.
Right.
What do you remember most of being on set?
What I remember most is just working with a bunch of people that I loved working with, that I really loved being around. Roger's sets were some of the first sets that I'd been on as an actor. I was trained as a kid as an actor, but never really wanted to pursue it. So Roger's sets were some of the first sets that I were on, and they were really safe spaces. When you think about the spaces that he created, they were safe spaces. And it was just always hot film, and like the scene, those were really long. It was, and they're all my friends still. Like some of us still talk, but if we don't talk like face to face or on the phone, we still text or talk to each other through social media. So it's a lot of long.
And the main character, Fabian, I want to touch on something, because growing up in Jamaica, if you are black, you can't be black and gay. It's forbidden in their country. They won't allow it. But Fabian, growing up Jamaican, his father is Jamaican. I could not watch. It was very triggering for me to watch the exchange between him and his dad.
Right.
And I'm just like, this happens within the queer community. Right. If you are black, if you are gay, right, they won't let you do it. And then the scene, the most touching scene was when all three of you, Amira, Greg, and Fabian, you all were laying down, Fabian was just looking at the picture of his mother and the first one. He misses his mom. His mom wouldn't have cared, she would have loved him. But his father didn't approve.
Right.
But looking at the picture, he just broke down. That is triggering for a lot of people too, because they've lost their parent, lost one parent that would have loved and supported them.
Right.
And then you have one parent who's just totally against you, or you're going to hell, you're going to, I don't do this, I don't do this. And Fabian is just trying to find his way. He had a job at the record company. And then if you've seen in the second one, the girl was like, you're fired, bye-bye, go. So he's trying to find his way. And each character has their background of what they're looking for in love and life and relationships. But that scene in particular was very triggering for me to watch, because I know people who've experienced something similar to that extent of not having their father's approval, being gay, or just being in the community in itself. That scene. But Fabian goes to Greg to vent, but the embrace scene also, I'm jumping ahead because there's so many things. I remember so much. I am definitely a fan. But the scene where you, all three of y'all, where you grab Fabian up and you hug him and then a mirror chimes in, that's beautiful.
Right.
Because outside in the queer community, everybody has to go and create their own families. If you're in the ballroom culture, that is where it stems from. Because people are disowned, they're put out by their families because being gay is not accepted, or being trans or pan or non-binary, anything is not accepted in religion, and also in Jamaica as well too. And laws are being passed to try to oppress the queer community. And that is disgusting. I was just having a conversation with Deshaun, who was in the previous live, and we were talking about it. And I said, this is heartbreaking. This is heartbreaking that it's still going on in 2024. But the film was filmed in 2008, 2009. So same-sex marriage was just being legalized, and you had to go to DC to get married. Now you can get married in all 50 states. So we've come a long way, a very long way. But we still are fighting with everything that's going on in the legislative, with them taking away people's rights. So Roger was right on time, and he touched on something else. Your character, your boyfriend on the show, Jay was dealing with mental health. And a lot of shows, yes, he was,
Yeah.
we seen that scene. And then Fabian runs into him, and he's just like, not himself.
Right.
And I think it's after, he found out the dinner. The dinner scene is where we're going back to, in the finding the truth. He find out that that's why I was kind of mad with your character a little bit, but
I was mad playing it. But you know what? You gotta play what's scripted. I went back and forth with Roger about that because I thought it was really callous of the character to announce dinner, his truth. But one of the great things about Greg is that he was liberated, and his truth was his truth. He couldn't live with that lie, and sometimes the lie can be damaging, as it was to Greg's partner at the time. But I mean, life, that may be uncomfortable to play, but we all make choices that are detrimental to other people, even when it's to save. That was a play for a long time.
Now, how is Greg different from Eugene? Because I see you as, Greg was also a bit of a party animal as well too. When he went to the club, he always had to get a guy, had to get somebody's number. But how is Greg and Eugene two different people? Because I watched your interview clip, and a lot of people, when they watch actors, they get a lot of people mixed up with their characters, and they think that they are the character's personality. So what has been the reactions from people to your character on Talk to Myself and Finding Me?
Well, when I was at this, back in the day when I actually played it, I tried to separate myself so much from the character because I was kind of offended by Greg and didn't want to be associated with him. But now, on the other side of that, we're a lot alike. I think you have to pull from. I don't think you have to pull from your own experiences to make a character believe. When I was young, so recently, I do think that happy. I gotta watch what I say because my partner is watching. Uh, but I don't. I don't. That's kind of hard to say because I don't think Greg went about things to hurt people's feelings either. Um, that's a hard question. You know, we're very, very different, but we're very much alike in a lot of ways. Again, I think that I'm a lot more sensitive than Greg is, but Greg had sensitive moments. You know, like the scene with Fabian. You know, him and Fabian brotherhood. Him and a brother and sister.
And all three of you were like brothers and sisters. You had
Right,
Amira also too.
right, right,
And Amira what had her issues with her boyfriend going on. She suspected that her boyfriend was cheating.
right,
Tammy, her cousin, and finding me truth. She didn't know that the person that she was dating was her cousin Tammy,
right.
and that you guys were messing around. And then the bloopers. You went up under the covers. If you know, you know. We've seen that. That was funny. What was it like filming that scene with Misty?
That was a hard scene to film too. You know what I mean? Like, you talking about the sex scene,
Yes.
right? That was hard because she's my friend. You know what I mean? And the backstory with Misty is I used to see Misty back like in the day, back in the 90s, on the PATH train. I lived in Jersey City. And I had this crush on Misty. And then I met Misty. And we were instantly just friends. Um, take a scene that I, she was partially naked under that. I was partially naked. And, you know, it has to be believable. I think Roger has some bloopers where I'm like screaming because like we're
I
touching. I'm like,
seen
this
it.
is there. I'm like, what are you doing? But we had to do the scene. It was uncomfortable, but we got through it, and we laughed a lot through it also.
And it was funny because when you guys did the interview for the film, you talked about it. You said she had on her underwear and everything. It was funny.
Right,
So just behind the scenes. Also, am I missing anything? Yes, Fabian. Fabian in the beginning of the film, he wakes up out of a coma or something, and in the hospital scene where you and the father got into it, and Amira was there, and she kind of had to be there as well too. His father was going off, and I'm just like, yeah, his father still hadn't changed his way.
right,
First time they got into it, he went to go stay with you, and
right,
that's when he met Lonnie, Derek Briggs' character, and Derek Reese was just like, why don't you open it up to me? Why aren't you talking to me? Because Fabian is not fully accepting of himself in the beginning of the film. Like, he didn't want to hold hands. I seen the part where he just kind of snatched away and he called it quits. Like, Derek Reese's character, Lonnie, was just like, what is going on? Talk to me. Let me know. And then the scene where they're screaming, where he's like screaming, saying, I want to be free, or something he said to that extent. And the father heard him, and that's when the fight happened. And then
okay,
the second, and then the third time it happened again. So again, this happens within the queer community where people are not welcomed and accepted by their fathers or their moms
right,
sometimes. And there's a film called Blackbird, if you guys remember. It's a film called Blackbird. It uses religion to try to beat the gay out of
right,
someone. You can't pray or beat the gay out of someone. And that's what a lot of people think, that you can use this to make someone go back to being straight.
right. But you know, I think that also the purveying message in Roger's films is, like you said, we get to choose our own families, and how much of a blessing is that? Like, you don't get to choose like your brother and sister, but you get to choose
Mm.
these people that you grow old with, that you love, and you get these amazing connections. Um, that's what that I can't remember. He was upset that his mother didn't accept him, right? In the time that he had come out, she was West Indian, if I'm not mistaken, and she didn't accept him. But someone in the audience had said, well, you had your whole life to come to who you are now, to this fully fledged, same gender man. Expect your parents' place 2 years or 6. You know, it's them. So, you know, we know who we are, right? But we have to kind of like also, and it's not the same in all cases, but we have to bring our parents along on that journey too and give them grace, you know, because they have who we are. And that's not, but we also have to like, no, no, no. My mother also been when I left it too. You got to respect.
Has she seen? Has your mom seen the show or the films?
Yes, my mom has been on the journey with me. Like she's seen all of it.
And it's amazing that, yes, it is cutting in and out, Daniel. You're cutting in and out somewhat on your end.
Oh, I don't know what to do. um,
Now I can hear you clear. Can you guys hear clearly now? Fashion Dolls, let me know.
I love that name, Fashion Doll.
Daniel, give me a thumbs up. Give me, well, the theme is purple and blue. Give me a purple heart or give me a blue heart if you guys can hear Eugene now.
Can you hear me? Okay.
And there's the other actor, Eugene Bracy, who I've interviewed. So we've got two Eugenes here. So, hey,
Hey,
Eugene. And I did an interview with him not too long ago. Daniel, give me a purple heart if you can hear me. I see that. All right.
hey,
Y'all
John.
know, keep that thing going. There we go. All right. So we're talking about finding meaning, having the support of your family, because a lot of people within the queer community do not have that at all.
Right.
And now times are changing. People are wanting to educate on pronouns and so many other things. People are becoming more aware, and that's what I love as well too. And I had the conversation with my mom and quite a few people. I'm glad that IG and FB now has it so that you can put your profiles on your pronouns on your profile, if that makes sense. Even on here on the gram, you see my pronouns, which are she, her, and on my FB, it is she, her. So now people are becoming more aware as it pertains to the trans community, as it pertains to people being non-binary, as it pertains to people being gender fluid, pan, trans, film, as so many, and people are alerting themselves and also taking the time to sit back and educate. One of my guests, what they did when I did an interview with them a few years back, they asked me, okay, what are your pronouns? That is the perfect way to do it.
Right.
This person did not assume what I wanted to be called, because when I walk in the world and when I show up in the world is as woman. I'm 200 pounds, 5'7", curvaceous. You can't miss that. I'm showing up as woman.
Right.
So people get that. And I've had to let my mom know as well too, what my pronouns are, and she gets it. I've had the conversation with her. She says, "You're my baby. I'm not going to love you any less. You came out of my womb. You came for me." And she's a Libra. I'm a Scorpio. Hers is October 7th. Mine is October 31st, Halloween. And it's like we're in sync. We know when something is wrong. She'll come and she'll knock on my door and she says, "You all right in there? Because you're mighty quiet.
Right.
Something's off about you." It's like mothers know. Mothers' instinct. They know instantly.
Hide it.
Now, she's a little bit different from me because she's a little, Libras are somewhat petty. When you tell her to leave a situation alone, she's got into it with one of the store clerks in the store, and I'm going to tell y'all that brief story right there. And I'll be like, okay,
Scorpios
gotta
are,
hurry.
I think
What was that? I couldn't hear you.
I think the Scorpios are petty. My
No,
mom is a Scorpio. I'm a Libra.
well, I kind of tone my pettiness down a little bit because I'd be like, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you when you least expect it. But I've toned it down now. Me being 30 years old, but in my younger years, I'd always be wanting to fight or curse somebody out. But now I'm really reserved now. Now I try to be the peacemaker. I'm an auntie now, so with me having my nephew, it's kind of mellowed me out a little bit. So I try to be like, I just sit back and look. I just sit back and observe. I've learned that. Hi, Roger. Roger is here, ladies and gentlemen. And like I was saying about my mom, I was telling you guys a little brief story. She got into it with the store clerk because the store clerk in the store was very nasty. And I tried to, I just went on ahead. When your mother's speaking, your mothers give you that look. In the black household, if your mom gives you that look, to just be quiet. And I just went right on ahead, and I was like this in the store. I was ringing them items up, and she was going at it with the store clerk. And they just like, "You are so unbothered." I said, Even though I'm grown, I still to this day, I don't. But she's petty. She's not going to let it live down. Oh, she's gonna get the last word. That's how my mom is. But
Mm-hmm.
I think I get a little bit of that from her too, the feistiness. But I think I inherit a little bit of all the women in my family as it pertains to that. But my mom, she taught me also to be fearless, to be independent, to stand up for myself. And I love her for that. It's like we're in sync. When I'm sad, she's sad, and she knows that.
Yeah.
And we talk and we have conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, Roger is here. And Roger, I have been tagging you like crazy because I've been interviewing your cast, and we've just been talking about Finding Me and how groundbreaking your show is. And I told him this when I did the interview with him. I said, you are ahead of your time because you touched on so many things from mental health to having a relationship and balancing both
Mm-hmm.
partners. All of these things you touched on, you were ahead of your time. So, Roger, if anybody hasn't given you your flowers, just know that I will always give you your flowers because I'm a big fan of what you're doing in your platform.
Of
And
course, for you too.
how and how you give black artists and creatives a platform to showcase their talent as well. So, again, Roger, thank you so much for creating something that is so groundbreaking. Years later, in 2024, it was created in 2008. People are still talking about it till this day. And I compared it to Noah's Ark because it is similar. Everybody have their own spice, their own personality on the show. And I also compared it to Sex in the City and Living Single. Because if you go and you look at every single show, everybody's balancing out a relationship. They're in their 30s and they're figuring out their way. What I want to do. Do I want to settle down? Do I want to focus on my career? All of these things, people are balancing it out. So, again, Roger, thank you so much for creating all of these amazing shows and platforms. And I will always promote, post, and interview anything you want me to do. I have your support and I will continue to support you 100%. So thank you, Roger. Thank
Now back to me.
you. Yes, we talked Finding Me. We talked about Finding Me Truth. Talks with Myself is coming back for season 6. Now I seen Roger do the promo for that. Kenya's gonna be joining me Monday, but now let's switch gears a little bit. We've talked about Finding Me, and it was great to reminisce. One more thing about Finding Me: you guys reunited in 2020, and it was great to see the entire cast together. What was it like seeing you guys? Because we were in the middle of a pandemic. Everything was shut down. Production was shut down on set. Everything. But you guys did a Zoom call, and it was great to see all of the cast together. Tammy, Amira, all of your favorite characters together. What was it like reuniting in 2020 with the cast?
I mean, it was difficult. I mean, unfortunately, we didn't go forward with this the episode. I think it would have been really good, but everybody's doing their own thing. It's kind of hard to reunite after so long being apart. But I mean, it's always great seeing those guys.
Yes, and it's like the time never left. You guys were still reminiscing and embracing your characters and so many things, and it was good to see that. I told Roger that I was hinting I would like to see a Finding Me. Would you be open to a Finding Me reboot, bringing back your character?
Yeah, yes, definitely. Now ask everybody else.
Roger, he's working on something. He's cooking something because he just dropped the promo for Talks with Myself. So I'm pretty sure Roger is going to come out with something. He's got Decalogue as well too, which is another show that he has,
Right.
and he's just amazing. So I can't wait to see what Roger. I'm manifesting it in the future because we need more LGBT representation
Right.
on television. I mean, there's RuPaul's Drag Race, which is amazing. All Stars, which is out. But Pose was the show where we had something that looked like
Right.
us, black and in the queer community.
Right.
And it would be great to see Finding Me rebooted. So, Roger, fingers crossed. You are amazing. You are talented. You go to that writing board or whatever, I will be supporting it 100%. Whatever you decided. All right. Back to Eugene. Plants. Let's talk plants because you are an enthusiast, and I follow you here on the gram, and I love how you go through and you talk about every single plant, and I'm also subscribed to your channel as well too. And you break down every single plant and what it means, and the way you set your display
Yeah.
for your plants. What was that? I'm
You
sorry.
subscribe to my YouTube channel?
I sure am, my love. I sure am.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't know how to do it the new way. Isn't there a new? I do it the old people way. I don't know the millennial. Yeah, thank you. Plants is my life. I love plants. I do my Instagram channel, plants. My longer videos are on my YouTube channel, and I do that for a living. I do landscaping for some of the hotels here in New York. Um, what are the um, but that's what I do. I love plants. Everything plants. Plants bring me joy. Um, they subsidize my income and they make me happy.
Daniel, you want to know my thoughts on Zeus Network? That was my thoughts right there. I just took a drink of water. I think it's crazy the way television has changed now. I mean, it's one thing to have the Housewives and then have Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, but Zeus Network is taking it to a whole nother level. Now, if it takes, and you guys know where I'm going with this. Now, if it goes to a level where someone's livelihood is at stake and I get injured or whatever, that is a concern. That is a problem. So it's like, okay, where is the clause where it says if something happens to me on one of these shows, because I know it's scripted or whatever is, in real time happening. I think it's crazy. So it's not for me. It's not my cup of tea. It's not for me.
I can't say I've ever watched.
Absolutely sucky. I agree. It is the epitome of ratchet TV, which destroys the black community.
Right.
I mean, if I wanted to watch Fight Club or anything, I would have just signed up to WWE, SmackDown.
Right. Right.
If I wanted to see people bust each other with bottles over the head and throw tables and all sorts of stuff, yeah, I would have just watched Bad Girls Club.
Right.
But yeah, it's amazing how television has now changed. But I think that shows like Finding Me, Talks with Myself, uh, more positive shows that show us in a different light. And then I'm gonna take it way, way back. Black soap operas is what we need. So you guys know that I'm a big fashion girl, and I think that a Dynasty reboot would be needed.
You hear
I
that?
love Diane Carroll. Love Diane Carroll. And I think she's one of the most stylish women there is. So I would like to see Vanessa Williams, who I've had the honor of interviewing, play her. So who knows?
Who knows?
Yes. Now, plants. What do plants mean to you? Because for me, when I look at flowers, when I look at plants, it's therapeutic for me.
Right.
And a lot of people, when they go and they just embrace nature and go outside, it takes you to a whole nother level. It takes you to a whole nother place in your life. And for me, it's therapeutic because my mom also plants as well too. So for you, what does it do for you?
Um, well, I mean, interestingly enough, I have a podcast coming out. You can look at it on Instagram. It's underscore talking dirty. There's so many parallels between plant life and our lives. There's a synthesis that just everything. They give life. You know, without plants, like, we wouldn't be here. You know what I mean? They induce a sense of calm for me and tranquility. So when I have a busy work, my plants, taking care of my plants just makes me happy. On this journey of studying plants, I've found the plants that give me the most joy, which are like any form of philodendron. Um, and again, you know, the beauty that they bring, you know, I think it's a finishing touch to any interior design plan. If you don't have like it's like not having a rug or a chandelier. I feel like you need a plant in every space. And as far as landscaping, the same thing. You know, the right tree can just finish off a nice landscaping piece, like that. So, you know, we live side by side, and without them, we wouldn't be. So, you know, to me,
Absolutely. And Daniel even said it in the comments. He likes plants and trees. Nature is beautiful and it's so serene to look at.
Right,
And there are a lot of people who, when this pandemic hit, we were all inside the house.
right.
And my thing is, we want to go outside. And sometimes, I'd mask up or whatever, and I would go outside and just take a walk and just look around my yard. And I kind of did a glimpse of that last Sunday when I went outside for the first time, because I was always inside.
Hmm.
And I just took a walk and I seen this beautiful plant. It was almost like an orchid. It was very orange, and I put it in my stories. I said, "Oh my God, I have to take a picture of this." And the Met Gala was the day before the Met Gala, and I said, "This is
Right.
beautiful." So it's something about nature. It brings you to a calmness. It brings you to a stillness, and you just take a walk and reflect. Years, memories, all of these different things. It felt good.
Well, it was interesting you bring up the pandemic because in the city in New York, and across the country, we weren't interfering. Cars weren't driving around. There was less pollution, and the plant life was amazing. The trees were fuller. The birds were coming, like animals that we haven't seen. It was a nice period of time and a nice rest and reset. It was a horrible thing that was going on, but for plant life, they were thriving because we weren't interfering. So yeah,
Absolutely. Now, we've been getting a lot of rain also too down here in the Carolinas. So it's just like the plants, wintertime, fall, winter, the plants are closed, and then everything blooms in the springtime and it's beautiful. So it's like a new awakening.
right.
So to
It
see
is
everything bloom and birth and open back up is just amazing.
much less
It was less pollution,
a lot.
right?
So
So outside, also another thing you do as well, and I watched one of your TikToks because you are a big TikTok as well too. It was one TikTok that you posted where this woman went outside to get some water. I screamed so loud
I
when
don't
she
remember.
she went to bend down. It was like rain coming down, and
Oh,
she had a bucket. Yes.
the
And
split.
she slid. I was like, you wrong for this. You wrong for this. I said, my God, I can't laugh. I was screaming, and I was in the process of getting my makeup done when I seen it scroll down on my IG feed. I was screaming. So for you, the comedy, the humor, you also provide comedy and humor to people as well too. So what is TikTok like for you?
Um, so the reason I have 3 pages is because I have so much going on in my head, and the comedy is for me. It makes me laugh. I'm happy that it makes other people laugh, which is why I post it, obviously. But it's a self-soothing form of stress release for me. I make myself laugh. I the humor. I would like to, so I do like TikToks.
And you also bring happiness to other people too. Do you look at it that way? Do people? What have been some of the responses from your TikToks or just your channel in general? What have people been? Have you gotten any messages from people saying how much and just happiness you bring to them, because you do bring joy and happiness to people?
No, I don't get a lot of messages. I do get like the likes, obviously, the views. But I don't. It's nice to hear what you said. I don't get a lot of that outside of my friends telling me how crazy I am. To the messages.
Yes, it is. You bring a happiness to
Thank you.
people. And that's why I fell in love with your character on the show, Greg. I'm like, Greg is the wild card of the bunch. You don't know what you're going to get with him. And the same with Amira as well too. She's a wild card. You don't know what she's going to be dealing with in her personality and every day. And then Fabian is stuck there being the mediator, having to mediate everything. So it's completely different.
Right,
But I love it.
right. Thank you.
All right, fashion dolls. So we covered everything. Now we are going to do some games here with Eugene. All right.
Game.
So there's a lot of things that people don't know about Miss Stevie. So we are going to turn the tables, but we're going to do that afterwards. But Eugene has to tell me 5 things that he can't live without in the first segment I like to call the Rapid Five. All right. And my guests have to tell me 5 things they can't live without. It can be your favorite football team, your favorite artist, your favorite TV show you like to watch, your favorite ice cream, anything that you like that you can't live without.
So
Now, what are 5 things that Eugene can't live with
They won't be specifics because my tastes do change.
it. Okay.
But I need dessert. I need good health all the time. Beauty, like the thing about being a Libra, I need to see beauty. Plants, plants are life, so a life without plants is not going to happen. Um,
What was that? You cut out for a minute. The last part.
Companionship.
Mm. It's amazing to have people support you and just love on you, and to have that significant other love on you as well too. It's awesome. So we can't live without that. So great choices.
Thank God.
Okay, fashion dolls. My heart is beating very fast for this next segment.
Why?
I don't know what Eugene is going to ask me. I'm so nervous. My guests get to ask as many questions as they want to. Now, the last episode, if you guys went back and watched the episode that I did with the Sean D. Will Spivey, he had me do my Jennifer Lewis impersonation. And I don't really do a whole lot of it. It was embarrassing for me. I get kind of shy about doing impersonations for people. But he said, the fashion dolls want to see. So I said, no, no, Deshaun. So I had to break out my Jennifer Lewis impersonation from Jackie's Back. And y'all know that's my favorite movie. So, but I'm going to pass it on down to Eugene.
Okay.
And my guests get to ask me as many questions as they want. Fashion, beauty, life, love, whatever they want to know. Take it away.
All right. My first question is, do blondes have more fun?
I don't know. Do they?
You tell me, you're the blonde.
Um, I say yes, absolutely. But some days I'm feeling blonde, some days I'm feeling red, some days I'm feeling
Right.
black. I'm always changing up. I'm a chameleon, so you don't know what you're gonna get with me. Like yesterday, I shocked people with the shag look, and then the day before, it was the blue hair. So I mean, I'm always in the curly. So I don't know what's gonna be next week when I do the show with Kenyon. So you guys just have to stay tuned. I'm not, just gonna stay in one lane. I'm always gonna change it up. I get bored easily with my hair or fashion. I love the change.
All right. If you could have any designer dress you, who would it be?
And he's no longer here with us. Terry Mugler.
Okay.
Terry Mugler had a way. How can there's not even words to describe some of his pieces from the going into the early 80s, late 80s, into the 90s. And Laverne Cox, if you guys follow her, it's like she has a whole archival of some of the pieces that were worn in some of the fashion shows from the 80s and the 90s. It's amazing going back in time and seeing some of his pieces. He was ahead of his time, and his shows are out of this world. He had a very glass eye, and he knew how to dress a woman's body to fit her curves and everything.
Right.
Every single. So God rest his soul. I would like to have him dress me, or either Valentino.
Okay. All right. Little classic look there. Classic nod. Where do you like to? Or where would
What
you
was
like?
the last part?
Where would you like to be if you had a choice?
Where would I like to be? In the world, I would say Indonesia, because it's beautiful, the scenery is beautiful, and I love nature as well too. I don't always like to be inside the house. Just going outside and taking a moment throughout the day to reflect, decompress is such a good feeling. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. It's therapeutic. So if I could be anywhere in the world, I would say Indonesia.
Right. I have one last question. If you could take this platform you have, blow it up as big as you want or as small as you want, what would you do with this platform?
I would create my own network. Oprah's done it, but I would like to be the second black, no, not second black, the first black trans woman to have her own daytime talk show. But I'm not first. It was T.S. Madison. So hats off to T.S. Madison for that, because she had her show as well too, which was groundbreaking and opened doors for women like us.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
All right. I think that's all my questions.
Daniel,
I
Go ahead. I'm sorry. You had a question.
What's your favorite scent? Perfume.
You you must have been following my stories because I always post my scent of the day. My favorite perfume to wear. Oh my God. I would say I'm looking at my bottles right now. It's so many. I would say Rev One Fleur by Rihanna. It lasts all day on me
Okay.
in the scent industry. If not that one, then Alien by Terry Mugler. Those are my two go-to scents. So when someone walks up to me, hugs me, or whatever, you're gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, she smells so divine. What is she wearing?" It is that.
All right. Now, is that question for you or for me?
Daniel, is that for me or Eugene?
Well,
Blink one. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
if it's for me, honest, kind, um, knows the difference between like bedroom talk and street, how we act in the street, respectful. Honesty is very important to me. But knows how to turn up when they need to turn up. We have to be able to have a conversation. But when we're partying, I want to be able to party. Um, it was
Oh, it was for both of us. Uh-oh. What's going on?
oh,
No, not that. Not that, baby. Um, what type of guy do I look for? Because I'm single. I'm on the market. What type of man would I like to have? I like a guy that has a great sense of humor, that has a great personality, that is outgoing. Um, that is all about his family because family is big to me.
mm,
Um, I don't care what shape, size. I know a lot of women go into what they want their man to look like. They pick a picture. My thing is this: you can be. I love muscles. I'm a sucker for muscles,
mhm.
but I don't care what size you are. What matters is in what's in the man's heart. So for me, if you're treating me like a queen, you're making me feel like a woman should feel every day, and making me feel good about myself, that's all that matters to me. I'm yours. So when I look for a man, I look for a man that has a great personality, that has charisma, that, that's not afraid to go for adventure. And what I mean by adventure is if we're going like for a first date, I don't want to just go to the movies because in the movies, you can't talk, you can't do anything. You can just sit there and watch the film.
Yeah.
I like to be hands-on, how we're in the interview right now, communicating and talking across the table, feeling your thoughts, looking in your eyes. I want to see you
Mhm.
in that moment. And I can't do that in a film or dirt bike riding because I like adventure as well too. I love to. I'm very athletic. I like to play. I like to do all of these things.
Mhm.
So we can't just be sitting down. We have to be doing something fun. It's the Scorpio in me. We got to be doing something.
Yes. Okay.
So fashion dolls. Any questions for myself or Eugene? I had such a great time
Yeah.
catching up with you.
Thank you for having me on. Been much
You are so welcome.
work
You cut out for a second. I couldn't hear you. You were saying?
anticipated and so worth it.
And I had such a great time.
Thank
Such a great time catching up with you. One of my favorite cast members on one of my favorite shows I love to watch. And again, I want to give a very, very special thank you. I can't thank him enough, Roger, for being the blueprint. Roger and Patrick Ian Polk, two
you.
of the most amazing creators there is. You show representation beautifully. So thank you, Roger. Final thoughts, fashion dolls. You've got your TikTok, you've got your channel, Eugene. What is next for you in the future?
I don't know. Just going the way God leads me. Um, hopefully I have one of the biggest landscaping companies in New York City. I'll be able to sit on that Roger when I get bored or when I want to create.
Mm. The next chapter for me and the final thought of the day, fashion dolls, before we close out, comes from Rebel Wilson. And Rebel Wilson, she says this: being unique and different was a really good thing. She says, when I walked into my agent's office for the first time, they looked at me and said, wow, we have nobody on our books like you. And they signed her the second day while she was at the office. Coming into something different, coming into your light, coming into your own individuality is a beautiful thing. And there's nothing wrong with being different. And the people, we all want to be like the next person. Find your personality and find what works for you, individuality. And that's what I've had to do when I first started this platform. Because I started this platform in my teen years, right after high school.
Mhm.
2014 was when I started. And that was around the time finding me the film.
Okay.
You guys were doing the series as well. So just graduating out of high school, didn't know where I was going, didn't know what I was doing, very cocky, very arrogant,
Mm.
but I had to find my way of who I was and truly discover that. And once I find out who I was, I figured out, okay, I love this person right here. I didn't like the first person, but I like this version of
Right.
myself better. So with change and growth comes progress. And to anybody out there who is struggling with finding themselves, their true identity, sexuality, style, celebrate it, embrace it. There is nothing wrong with being unique. There is nothing wrong with being different. And my mom was just telling me the other day, she says, you know what? Different is beautiful. Different is beautiful. Different is daring.
Yeah.
So that is the final thought of the day, Fashion Dolls. And to answer your question, Daniel, my love, Eugene, where can everyone follow you?
YouTube, Gene Loves Plants and the number one. Here on Instagram, Gene Loves Plants, or Eugene underscore E underscore Turner, or Gene Creates. All three on Instagram.
All right, Fashion Dolls, there you have it. Eugene, it was such an amazing time with you. And your partners here, nice meeting you too, my love. So thank you for tuning into my platform. Thank y'all for showing me so much love. This has been the most fabulous week ever for me. And y'all have just, I'm trying not to tear up because I don't want Melanie coming after me. Shout outs to the beauty squad here, Melanie. But thank y'all so much for just showering me and showing me so much love and just admiration. I appreciate it. Next week, Kenyon is going to be joining me Monday. So make sure you guys tune in on Style by Stevie. I love you all. You guys have a safe and fabulous weekend and celebrate the woman in your life, your moms. Mother's Day is Sunday. So make sure y'all get that last minute shopping done. I just got to doing my mom's basket and my grandmother's basket. So they have way more beauty products than I have. I have so many that I could open my own Ulta Beauty or Sephora in my house, literally. So, but thank y'all so much. And Eugene, I had such a great time. Thank you.
Ditto. Bye.
Take care, everyone.